earlier we had real fun removing these shock absorbers, and these are the old ones. You can see they're completely shot. They're probably the originals from the factory. I did a lot of research and I actually got these Monroe R1542 dampers, and the holes here should fit. They're the right width, the shock's the right length, so it all looks good. The only thing to point out is they come with the internal bush here is slightly wider. It projects about 5mm each side at this end, so I've had to just trim them down and repaint them, so they now match these. So we'll see how we get on. Let's talk about getting the shock absorbers off. Putting the new ones on is dead easy compared to taking the old ones off. You can see here I've had to angle grind through here and here on the car, hammer this back, chip all the rubber away, and that left me a bolt exposed like that. That piece there, that metal tube, is part of the shock absorber, but as you can see it's just seized on solid. This part went through the upper mounting, chunk of metal that thick, on the chassis, goes through that way. This is a an M17, and there's a 19mm bolt nut on the other end. So 3 of them came out with the usual methods of penetrating spray, putting the 17mm spanner on, going back and forth different ways to break the seal, hitting it with a hammer to break the rust bond, cutting the nut off, and then doing all those things. But this one just refused to come out. So this is what the bolt should look like when they've not been mangled up. So this one I actually cut the nut off flush and then drilled into it so that the interior collapsed slightly, and then I could turn it. If you put too much force on this, the 17mm, it will round off the head and make life even harder for you, so I managed to stop myself from doing that before I did this. A normal drill, like a set of drill bits like this, a cheap one from like an online supplier, is great for just general metalwork, you know, messing around drilling aluminium, bits of thin sheet steel, that kind of thing. But if you're going to drill this far into the end of a reasonably hard steel bolt, you need a decent drill bit. So what I would suggest is go to a proper tool supplier to the trade, not just a supermarket type one, and where they know what they're talking about, and buy an 8mm. These are 12mm diameter bolts, but you're never quite going to be in the middle, because bearing in mind you're working in a wheel arch, you're not using a pillar drill, so you need a bit of leeway for error, and all you're trying to do is weaken it. So you can see here I've drilled in all the way through the part where it went through the bodywork, through the mounting. I was slightly offline, as you can see, but it did weaken it enough to turn and get it out. So to put it back on with fresh bolts, fresh shock absorbers and fresh nuts, and so you would hope that they'll all just bolt up nice and easily. Right, well I haven't done these up tight yet, but these took literally a few seconds to put together, so that's good. And the bottom one's in as well, you can see that. So getting them on is miles easier than getting the bloody things off.